here's a way of thinking about artistic and creative people from a biological perspective. So imagine that the world is basically an explored territory inside an unexplored territory. Every world is like that. Everywhere you go is like that. There's things you know and there's things you don't know. And the conservative people like to be in the middle of the things that are known. And they can master that space, and they're good at maintaining it. But the artists like to be right out on the edge, and that's the edge between chaos and order. And they like to expand the domain of order out into the chaos. And they do that first by transforming perception. And you can see very concrete examples of this if you think about what creative people do in cities. They always do it, the same thing. So they're starving to death, and this is partly why, but they go in a city and they look at some ratty area that's sort of quasi-criminal and that's seen better days, and they go there and they think, you know, with a little work this could be cool. And so then they rush in there and they build some galleries and show some art, and they civilize it a bit, and then a coffee shop pops up, and you know, the next thing you know, the yuppies move in because they're sort of creative but also kind of conservative, so they're the next ones into the frontier, and then the developers show up and they kick all the artists out. But that's okay, because then the artists go off and rejuvenate some other area, and that's what artists do, is that they're transforming chaos into order all the time. That's where they live on that edge. And so it's a very tough place to live, because you can fall into the chaos at any time.
This is kind of blowing my mind, actually, because I just wrote recently in the commemorative book for the 150th here at the gallery that science helps us understand the world, whereas artists create a world that we can understand. It's just they're sort of opposite. It amounts to the same, but they're opposite approaches.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and you just said that.
Artists have always been on the frontier of human understanding. You know, the artist bears the same relationship to society that the dream bears to mental life. Like when you're dreaming at night, you're actually pretty creative when you're dreaming, and that's why when you remember your dream, you think, oh man, like where did that come from? Which is pretty weird, that something can happen in your head and you have no idea how it got there or what it means. That's a bloody miracle. You know, every night that happens. It's like, I had a dream. Where did it come from? What does it mean that you had it? How can you not understand it? How can you produce something like that? It's like a whole movie that you don't even understand. You produce it. You don't produce it. You experience it. The dream is the thing that mediates between order and chaos. It starts to make chaos into order. So it's half chaos. That's why it's not comprehensible. And artists play exactly the same role in society. They're the visionaries that start to transform what we don't understand into at least what we can start to see. And they've always been that. They've always been at the vanguard. That's their biological niche.
So they're creating confidence for the community.
They're the civilizing agents. I mean, look at Europe. Think about, and this is one of the things that really bothers me about the fact that conservative people have a hard time properly valuing art economically. It's so paradoxical, because conservatives are very concerned about economics. It's like, okay, fine, then why don't you fund the damn artists? Because you look, Europe is so beautiful that it's just heartbreaking when you go there. I mean, I've been to like medieval villages in Germany, for example. It just made me cry when I saw them. They're so damn beautiful. And the beauty that the Europeans have produced it's infinitely valuable. People go from all over the world on pilgrimages to Europe just to look at beautiful things. It nourishes their soul. They're priceless. Paris is priceless. Rome is priceless. And it's all beauty that drives it. It's phenomenally valuable. And Canada is just ugly as sin, man.